Hello, it's Clive Coburn here. Music is the most exciting thing I've ever had in my life. It can make you feel up and it can make you feel down. It can be complicated and it can be simple. It takes talent to create and it also takes work to create. But the joy that every writer gets from writing is huge. To be a music writer, the most important thing you need is the drive to succeed. Songwriters who write on their own are more likely to produce songs that are more quiet and thoughtful than those written with a band. With the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards writes a guitar riff, and then Mick Jagger writes the lyrics and melody over the top. With film, composers need to understand the story and then to create a style or mood to go with the story. They must then translate those emotions to music for just a few or many instruments. That's usually dictated by the budget. All this may sound daunting, but self-belief will get you a long way. Synths are wonderful things at driving bass lines, huge sustained chords and much more. But if you want your audience to melt into an emotion, it will help to give them a real instrument. A solo violin or cello, an oboe, or an electric guitar, a human voice, these things will pull your audience into the drama. So you need to know when to use synths and when to use real musicians. The addition of voices to a film score can be very moving. The sound of human beings does it every time. The solo woman in the Gladiator score, for example, was great, I reckon. Here's one way that I used a voice. It's wordless and submerged into the orchestration. The hero is being haunted by his wife, who had recently died, so I put it in the score as well. And here's another example, heavily influenced by the Boston legal score, but it's funk this time and it's easier to hear the voice. A composer friend told me that sometimes when she picked up a job, sometimes the fear of failure would make her tired, so she'd go to sleep. She had no idea what to do, but would often wake with an original music idea in her imagination. It's fantastic when that happens. Occasionally I had the melody for a TV commercial in my head by the time I had left the ad agency. That was the fast bit. Then I had to arrange it, and that took more time. Usually I mess around with chords and start singing, then I search for the rest of the melody and the chords that go with it. I think a lot of writers work like that. If you're writing for instruments other than a rhythm section, you'll need to learn the craft of arranging. In a small group of 2, 3 or 4 horns, the horn players need music to read. This is because non-chordal instruments, meaning instruments other than guitar and piano, need every note written so together they can then play a chord. If the players in an orchestra didn't have every note written, it would be chaos. Jazz instruments need a lead sheet, which is a very basic form of the melody and the chords. Then they can ad lib. I like the picture of the trombone player of a Dixieland band playing Tailgate. These musicians were often playing from the back of a truck, and the trombone player was at the tailgate of the truck, so the slide of his trombone could go as far out over the back of the truck as it needed, without coming into contact with anybody else. Like many musicians, my music went into another stage. I wanted to write music that told a story. Musicals are not exciting to some musicians. They may appear a bit soppy, and they often are. Rock operas are exciting, but one problem is that it's hard for an audience to follow a story when it's belted out at 100 decibels, and rock music is not exciting when it's played quietly. So I like writing pop rock music that tells a story, and even the sung dialogue passages are great music, and not just filler until the next song. Jesus Christ Superstar did this really well, and so did some others. I want to write music that people can't stop listening to, music that keeps changing and is not necessarily in the verse-chorus format. Music that turns corners, goes somewhere else. Now that I reckon is great, and I'll spend the rest of my days doing that. That's it from me. Until next time, all the best.
The wind blows, it's all so cold, and there's no relief. We can